Hello, today we are doing a worm dissection, also known as Lumbricus terrestris. So yeah, let's just get right into identifying the dorsal and ventral side. Wait, do you have a worm in focus? Okay, great. So right now we're looking at the ventral side, and we know it's a ventral side because it's flatter and also it's lighter in color. If we flip it over, this is the dorsal side. It's darker in color and also rounder. Let's identify some external structures. So at the front here is the mouth, and there's a fleshy overhang above it called the, if you're that close, I don't think you can focus that well, but called the prostomium. This little fleshy overhang above the mouth. The worm is part of the phylum Annelida. So Annelida meaning ringed or segmented. So as you can see, this worm has many little segments on its body. Each little segment is called a metamere, or also known as a somite. So back here we can see the worm's anus, which so waste gets excreted from the anus. And this little swollen area here is called the Clallam, and it's involved in sexual reproduction. If we flip the worm over here on somite 15, we can see the sperm ducts, and right in front of it are a pair of oviducts. So here are the sperm ducts, oviducts. Oviducts are on somite 14. Somite is another word for metamere, which is a word for segment. Back here, or all along the worm, if we feel the worm's underside, we can actually feel setae, which are tiny little spine-like bristles on the worm's body to help the worm maneuver inside soil. That should be it for external structures. Okay, so let's get into the dissection. So first I want to lift or pin the worm down at the anus. And then 1 inch before the Clallam, I want to make an incision with my dissection scissors. And then slowly put my scissors in carefully, making sure not to go too deep so I don't cut all the organs. And then I want to cut all the way to the front. Like this. Now, once we get into the worm, there are going to be septum, or septa for plural, that are going to be just segmenting the worm. They're a little membrane, so we have to separate those first. I'm going to run a dissection needle through the skin so I can separate that from the organs, so we can lay the skin flat. Okay. Got the shot? Okay. All right. Go back to the Alright, so now we'll just start opening up the skin. Sorry for the long few minutes of silence. But, okay. We're just about done. Okay, so now we can identify some internal structures. Over here is the pharynx. It's a little pink area. I don't know if you can see that with the camera, but it's bulging out. And behind it is the esophagus. Over the esophagus is like the throat of the worm, and it's a tube running underneath these white little sacs. Over the esophagus are the aortic arches, which are basically the worm's hearts. They're little tubes of, they're sort of dark, you can see them there. I'm not sure if you can see it on the video. But behind it over here, the white sacs are called seminal vesicles. And behind that is the crop, which stores food. Behind the crop is the gizzard, which is a muscular sort of stomach-like thing that also holds food. And behind that, you are going to see the worm's intestines. On the back of the intestine, we can see the dorsal blood vessel, which is this black line running from the front of the worm to the back of the worm, all the way to the anus. Back up a bit. And if we move the intestine aside, I'm going to do it with these forceps and also my dissecting needle. If we move it aside, we can actually find the ventral nerve cord, which is right over here. And the camera can get right in there. That little white fiber running from the front of the worm to the back of the worm. On the ventral side of the worm, we can also see we can't see it here, but there is a ventral blood vessel. Like the dorsal blood vessel, which is on the dorsal side, the ventral blood vessel is on the ventral side. That is pretty much it for the worm dissection. So, thanks for watching.